Donald Trump has announced he is pulling the U.S. out of the Iran nuclear deal. The controversial decision was made on Tuesday, in a decision likely to raise the risk of conflict in the Middle East, upset America's European allies and disrupt global oil supplies. The president said he will be imposing more sanctions on the Middle Eastern nation and America will not be held hostage to nuclear blackmail. Mr. Trump said at the White House, "I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. In a few moments, I will sign a presidential memorandum to begin reinstating U.S. nuclear sanctions on the Iranian regime. We will be instituting the highest level of economic sanctions. The nuclear deal has long been a point of contention, especially among Republicans who oppose it." Mr. Trump promised to dismantle the disastrous deal with Iran before his election. He argues it does not address Iran's ballistic missile program, its nuclear activities beyond 2025, nor its role in conflicts in Yemen and Syria. Getty. Iran nuclear deal. What is the Iran nuclear deal? Iran agreed a long-term deal in 2015 with the US, UK, Russia, China, France and Germany on its nuclear program. It ended 12 years of tension over Tehran's nuclear program and the country's alleged efforts to develop a nuclear weapon. The landmark agreement, made by the P5-1 group of world powers, was known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. Under the agreement, Tehran agreed to significantly cut its stores of centrifuges, enriched uranium and heavy water, all key components for nuclear weapons. Getty. Iran nuclear deal. Donald Trump has pulled the U.S. out of the Iran nuclear deal. It had been hit with devastating economic sanctions by the United Nations, United States and the European Union that are estimated to have cost it tens of billions of pounds a year in lost oil export revenues. Billions in overseas assets had also been frozen. The country allowed in international inspectors and in return crippling economic sanctions would be lifted on Iran. Iran unplugged two-thirds of its centrifuges, shipped out 98% of its enriched uranium and filled its plutonium production reactor with concrete. The deal was reached under Barack Obama's presidency and the president said at the time, "Every pathway to a nuclear weapon is cut off. This deal is not built on trust. It is built on verification." The deal was reached after 2 years of negotiations. Iran accepted extensive monitoring by the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, and verified 10 times since the agreement, the latest verification coming in February, that Tehran had complied with its terms. All nuclear-related sanctions were lifted in January 2016 on the country, which reconnect Iran to global markets. Why is it under threat? The deal was the key foreign policy achievement of Barack Obama's presidency, making it an immediate target for successor Donald Trump. On the presidential campaign trail, Mr. Trump made his opposition clear and then continued to make threats about pulling out of the worst deal the U.S. has ever signed up to because of its disastrous flaws. The next deadline in the U.S. for waiving sanctions is May 12, but Mr. Trump announced on Monday that he would reveal his decision today. Getty. Iran nuclear deal. Barack Obama signed the deal in 2015 with the P5-1 group of world powers. The government does admit the deal is not perfect as it fails to cover areas such as ballistic missiles and is time-limited, but insists it is the option with the fewest disadvantages. Germany, France and the United Nations all urged the U.S. not to withdraw, with Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson making a last-ditch attempt to preserve the deal during a trip to Washington on Monday. What happens now? The United States has pulled out. Iran has warned the move effectively amounts to killing the deal.